I'm Erik Herbst. I am the chief engineer and owner of the Panhandle House Recording Studio here in Denton, Texas. And we've been working with UNT with their jazz program for probably about 10 years now. I play guitar. I actually went to UNT. I was a jazz major there. Recording was always a hobby for me, so it was always kind of music and some kind of recording ever since I started playing guitar. And it just kind of evolved into kind of a little growing home studio thing, and decided, hey, you know, make a go of it. Try to open a facility. I love analog gear. I love gear. I love my room. I mean, somebody asked me today. They were like, you know, besides the gear, it's like, well, what would be the one most important thing, you know, in the recording process? And I said, well, the room that you're performing in is tremendously valuable. If you have a really well built and good sounding room, it just gives you tremendous options, because no matter what you do, analog digital recording, I don't think you can ever remove the physical space that you're performing in from that recording. It becomes part of that in one way or another. So it starts at the room, having a cool sounding room that has, you know, it's controlled but has some character. It allows you to kind of work a microphone close or far away and still have a quality sound. You're not hindered by the room. I love fantastic, you know, old tube microphones. Love my old Neve console. And it sort of changed the way that I recorded. It became one of those things where you really had to do less. It was about a good microphone, you know, recorded through this console with the right placement in the room, and like 90% of the sound was there. I also love just, you know, tons of outboard gear. Got a pretty broad palette of stuff, and they all have a specific sound. And there's tremendous tools in the computer too. I mean, I think it's not like one's better than the other. I think that there are some things in which the analog excels, you know what I mean? There are some tremendously valuable tools in the computer too, as far as, you know, surgical control has certainly become a fine art with a computer. When I'm doing a jazz mix, I think the mix starts at the recording. I'm not looking to fill up my meter as much as I'm looking to preserve their dynamics. If they played soft, then I want the mix to reflect that, and if they played loudly, then it needs to kind of have that dynamic swing. My challenge when I'm doing a jazz mix is to find the swing point where, if I get all the faders balanced as the band was performing, in other words, finding that spot where their own natural dynamics were taking over, and get a little bit of this motion here, so that when someone's taking a solo, they're naturally going to kind of step out and play a little bit. So if I can find that spot where the performance actually does the mixing for me, then I know I'm in a really good place. So that's what I'm looking for first. And then after that, it's all about sort of enhancing that and making sure that the music isn't getting lost. You know what I mean? So I might push that solo just a little bit, or there's a really quiet section. I want to make sure that some of that detail isn't getting lost in really down low, and I might bring that up a little bit. So it's kind of about taking the band's dynamics, maximizing it, and also just kind of pushing focus on things that need to come forward, and kind of, you can kind of play with the listener's emotions a little bit there. And then some of that's up to the band. It's like, what was the vision for their arrangement? You know, the blend of these three horns needs to be a certain way so that their chord voicing comes out, right? So I might go, hey, what do you think about that? Do you guys like the way this is blended? No, I need a little more tenor, you know what I mean? Or that sort of thing. We'll kind of play back and forth until we get exactly what they're looking for. And it starts to really just take on this nice 3D homogeneous quality or whatever. So I think for future engineers, study music. It's definitely important to kind of know some basics about music. It's very, very helpful, not just to know technical, but the more that I learn and grow, the more that I try to forget. You know, it's just like if you're a musician and you're practicing scales to get some things under your fingers or whatever, at some point you have to transcend the technical knowledge of that, and it becomes an intuitive expression of what you're doing. And I think you have to learn to sort of forget the technology of all of this stuff at some point and just listen to what's coming out of the speakers and react to it, you know what I mean? So listening to as much music as you can, listening to classic records, classic recordings, you know, just trying to take all of those things in. I think, yeah, that would be my advice. Do as much listening as you can, you know. Get a good set of speakers where you can really hear what's going on, and listen, you know.